Today also, the 21st of March, is Down Syndrome Day. And let me just combine World Poetry Day and Down Syndrome Day to also drop one poem for you. Almond-shaped eyes, extra chromosome, extra love, Down syndrome's embrace. That's my poem. Good morning. Welcome to the show. I've got with me three guests who I'm going to really enjoy talking to. From my far left, Professor Nana Ichan Yao. She's a pediatric cardiologist. She works at the National Cardiothoracic Center, and she's the board chair for Down Syndrome Ghana. In the middle is my friend I see only once a year. She's called Toda. Toda, how are you doing? I'm also shy. And while I'm being shy, I want to introduce you to Toda's mama, who is also here with us, Agnes Teiko Nyemite. She is the parent, mother of Toda, and she's the executive director for Down Syndrome Ghana. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. Toda, how are you doing? You're fine? You're shy of me? Okay, me too, I'm not shy of you. I'm going to start with Prof. Prof, good morning. Welcome to the show. Happy World Down Syndrome Day. What exactly is Down syndrome?
What is Down syndrome? So, Down syndrome is a genetic condition. Now, when we say it's a genetic condition, it means that it affects what I will call in simple terms the building blocks of our body. So, every human being has got, we can look at it as building blocks. And we have 23 pairs. We get, so that makes 46. We get 23 from our daddy and 23 from our mummies. And that builds the house of, in quote, a normal human being. Now, children with Down syndrome have got 47 blocks, which are chromosomes. And they have an extra 21. So if you number them from 1 to 23, when it gets to number 21, children with Down syndrome and adults as well will have 3 21s.
Okay,
Instead of two.
Okay.
Now, sometimes more is better, but in this situation, not particularly so. Because the extra chromosome, the extra building block, kind of programs the body in different ways, which are not particularly helpful and useful. And it creates challenges with development. It affects everything almost in the body, from the head right to the toes. So it affects the way the person looks, it affects their development, it affects their behavior, and children, adults with Down syndrome have got a lifelong learning disability. That doesn't mean that they cannot lead a fulfilling life. They certainly can, but they need to be supported and comforted.
You've just broken the thing down for me so clearly, and thank you so much for that. And how common is Down syndrome in worldwide?
Worldwide, it is said that it occurs about 1 in 100. However, those are numbers from the international scenes, the developing world. In Ghana and in most African countries, we haven't done the research yet. And in my practice, I have noticed that there is quite a lot of Down syndrome in Ghana, unusually so. In the Western world, and from science, said that the older the woman, the higher the likelihood that she will have a child with Down syndrome. But in Ghana, there are young women who are having children with Down syndrome, as well as mature women. Yeah.
Before I come to Agnes, is it possible to test for Down syndrome?
It is indeed. There is a test even before the child is born, and it is one of the compulsory tests that are done when women are pregnant in certain countries, whereby they have a test done when they have their ultrasound done, what we call the fetal scan, and there are different things that are looked at on the fetal scan that are suggestive. If their factors are very strong, then they can go on to have a test where fluid is taken from around the baby, and then it is tested for that. When the baby is born as well, chromosomal tests can be done, which will detect that this child definitely has got Down syndrome, trisomy 21.
Okay. Does it lie on a spectrum? I mean, do you have various levels of Down syndrome?
There wouldn't be various levels, but what we would say there are various different types, and that is not to do with the way the child is or looks, but it's more to do with the scientific programming and how it actually happens. So getting an extra chromosome can be by way of division, can be by way of different scientific combinations. So in the laboratory, yes, there are different types, but in outward appearance, no, there wouldn't particularly be.
Okay. Let me come to Agnes now. Agnes, so you're the mom of the wonderful Toda, my friend. Once in a while she's shy, and I'm also shy. What's it like being a parent of a child who's living with Down syndrome?
It's quite challenging. It's quite challenging because one gets pregnant and you expect to give birth to a child that you have imagined in your mind, that I want my child to be this, I want her to grow up to be this, I want this career for her. And then you give birth to the child and then you are told that your child might not be like you are expecting her to be. It is challenging.
When did you know that Toda was going to be born with Down syndrome?
The day I gave birth to her, the gynae examined her, and then she said to me that she looks like a child with Down syndrome. But because it's not his specialty, he was going to ask the pediatrician who will come the next day to thoroughly examine her and confirm his suspicion that she has Down syndrome. So the pediatrician came, examined her closely, and she also confirmed to me that she has Down syndrome. So then, what is Down syndrome?
So that began the learning process for you?
Yes.
Can you describe your emotions when you were told this?
No, it was a no. She cannot have any condition because I didn't know what Down syndrome is. I realized that they started also explaining to me, just like Prof has said, that it is a chromosomal disorder. She's not going to develop from, and normally her milestones are going to be delayed, and she will have this floppy body. I'll have to make checks on her heart, her ears, her sight, to make sure that every organ in her body is working perfectly. But for me, it is no. It is no because I prayed. I got married to Toda's husband after being single for a very long time.
To his father?
Yes. So when we met, I was happy that I was going to marry again. And then he started pestering me for a child. Give me a child, give me a child. And we got married when I was about 44 years. So I knew that at that time, after 18 years of having my first child and told her, I'll have to go through fertility treatments, which in my thoughts is so cumbersome. I don't want to put myself under that kind of stress of going through fertility treatment, so I resorted to prayer. So I went to Nigeria with the Winners Church. I went to Shiloh. And for 1 week, I was fasting and I was praying for God to just give me new organs in my body that can make me pregnant so that I can get pregnant and have a child. So I came back and I was pregnant. I found myself pregnant. So this pregnancy is God sent. At 46, I remember when I went to the hospital on suspicion that I was pregnant, the nurse I saw that no, it is menopause. So I told her that it is not menopause. You let me go through the test because the doctor has asked me to go for a lab test. You let me go for the lab test that will confirm whether it is menopause or not. And then lo and behold, the test came out and I was pregnant. I told you it is not menopause. So right from the word go, it is God So God cannot give me a child who is not perfect, in quotes. God cannot give me a child who the nurses and the doctors are telling me all that they are telling me. I cannot accept it. So it was a denial. I live in denial for close to 2 years. I will not accept it. And I have Reverend ministers who also support me to pray for her condition to change. Until Reverend Dora, but Reverend Dora, hi. Reverend Dora came to visit, and then she told me that yes, God can change her condition. But God can also say, no, this is the child I'm giving you, what will you do? So that gave me a new twist to my thoughts, because for me, God has to change her condition. He cannot give me a child who come with all the troubles they are telling me. So I resorted to prayer, but Reverend Dora gave me the twist to it, so I saw it in that perspective. And then there was this couple in my church, Mr. and Mrs. Ahiable, who also has a child with Down syndrome, who is much older than Toda. They heard about my plight, and then they decided to coach me, to put psyche my mind that it is not all lots. You can do this, you can do that, and then the child can grow perfectly. So I started from there. So I started reading and learning, educating myself to know what I have to do for myself, to psyche my mind mentally, so that I will be in a sound state in my mind,
Right.
to adequately take care of myself and then take care of my daughter.
So that change in your mind made things better.
Yes,
for you.
it is acceptance. When I decided to accept her condition just the way she is, and thank God for her, the change started.
Okay, great stuff. It's World Down Syndrome Day. I'm here with Agnes and Prof. and Toda, who I can now chat with. Hello, Toda. How are you doing again? How's it going? How's everything? Yeah, you're good? Today I see you're wearing a beautiful T-shirt.
Thank
You're welcome. World Down Syndrome Day, 21st March. And later on, we'll take a picture. I hear you're supposed to wear mismatched socks. So I'll see those socks later on. But how are things with you?
Fine.
You good? You go to school? Okay. Who's your best friend?
I do.
Ato. Was it the same best friend from last time? I think so. Because I asked you the same question last year.
Yes.
Yes. Why is he your best friend?
Because I think it's my best friend because I like it.
You like him? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Ato likes you too. Yes.
Amma.
Oh, Amma is another one. You have another friend called Amma. Amma and Atu. Two friends. Okay.
And Jude.
Jude.
Santa.
Okay. So there's Jude, there's Amma, there's Atu. Any more?
And then sis.
Teachers.
Your teachers, they're your friends. Yeah. Prof, how important is it for the support system for families who have a child who's living with Down syndrome?
It's so important.
Talk about teachers right now.
Yes,
Friends, yeah.
yes. And the question actually brings tears to my eyes because, like Agnes said, acceptance is so important. And I come across a lot of families, a lot of parents who you tell them that their child has got Down syndrome. And particularly in this environment, I've been in circumstances where they start praying for me, they start binding me, they start saying all kinds of things against me. And it's challenging. It's a very challenging diagnosis in our environment to accept and to say that, really, is this what my child is? And is this what my child is going to be like? And I have families who love their children so much, just like Agnes and Toda. And I realize that makes the big difference.
The love.
The love and the support that they give their children. There are families that come and there are people who even want to get rid of these children. Yes, I've had parents come to me and say, how do we get rid of this child?
Wow.
I've
After
had
the child was
families-
born?
After the child was born, in the clinic, in the consulting room. I've had parents come and say, my family says I should go and leave this child in the forest because the child has a heart condition, the child has a disability. So it's a very challenging diagnosis. And I say this to make the point that all of us in society, the public and clinicians, everybody, we need to support these families and these children. There have been instances last year, I heard of an instance where a mother was taking her child with Down syndrome to school early in the morning, and they got into the taxi or the Uber. And then when the taxi man turned round and saw the child, he said, "It's too early in the morning. I don't want this kind of child in my car." And he didn't transport them. So I say all of this to make the point that Down syndrome is not infectious. It's not a disease that is going to happen to someone and make them worse than they are. So we, society, needs to understand what it is and accept and help support these families with children with Down syndrome. It's
And
so important.
Thank you so much for that. And so the stigma is a big deal, and so awareness and education has to be ongoing.
Absolutely. Stigmatization is a big deal.
And congratulations for setting up this foundation, Down Syndrome Ghana.
Yes.
How do people support you? How do people help you to get your work done?
Through donations and commitments of members, thanks to Prof, who is also
She's our board chair.
She's our board chair,
Yes.
who is also very committed and passionate about matters with Down syndrome. So that is how we run it.
Right. How do people get in touch with Down Syndrome Ghana?
Yeah, Down syndrome Ghana, our number 020 740 5343. 020 740 5343.
How are we marking the World Down Syndrome Day today, Prof. and Agnes?
We started with activities last Sunday when we had a Thanksgiving service at the Legon Interdenominational Church, who received us very warmly. What we are doing today is advocacy work on radio and TV, just like you have hosted us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For hosting us. This is what we are doing. And then throughout the weekend on Saturday, which is our big day, we have our family fun day at the Mofra Place in Jowulu. So we invite all of you people who have persons with Down syndrome. If you know somebody with Down syndrome, let us all come. It's a warm place for us to associate with each other, share our experiences on our journey, and just encouraging each other and telling that Down syndrome is not infectious, like doctor is saying, and persons with Down syndrome can live meaningful life. Actually, World Down Syndrome Day also aims at celebrating Down syndrome achievers. There are a lot of persons with Down syndrome who have done remarkably well and are noticed in society.
Okay. On that achievement note, I want to ask Toda. So, when you become a woman like Mommy, what would you like to do?
Police.
You want to be a police officer? Yes, this one I remember it from last year. She really likes the police. Why do you like the police?
Because
They went to an excursion at the police station.
Okay.
And then since she came, she wants to be a policewoman.
Okay, because she's quite consistent, because last year she said the same thing too.
Yes.
But Prof, so in terms of vocation and careers, what are the opportunities available for people living with Down syndrome?
So it would be it would depend on the individual, and then it will also depend on how much exposure and training the individual is given. Children with Down syndrome, they love music and are quite talented, and they love to dance.
Okay.
Yes, and it's good to encourage them in that area. It's good to encourage them. They are able to learn depending on the degree or the severity of the disability. They're able to learn under supervision and do things under supervision. So a career whereby they won't hurt themselves. You don't want it to be dangerous, and you can encourage them. So you can encourage them, for example, to be a storekeeper.
Okay.
You know, they may not be able to count the change and give out the right change, depending, but at least they'll be able to pick things off the shelf and give it
people.
to the
Be helpful.
be helpful.
Customer
Absolutely,
service.
yes.
Yeah.
So, in quote, apprenticeship vocations is what we would encourage them to go into.
All right.
Yes.
Toda, do you like music? Which musician do you like? Maybe we'll see if we can find the video for you. Who's this?
Ichok.
Hey, which one is Ichok?
Ichok.
All right. Okay, my people are going to look for Ichok for you. Yeah, Ichok, Papa. Yeah. That's a hot song. You are up to date to that. Ichok.
And she can dance.
Yeah, Ichok. Looks. Listen, I want us to. It's a special request. This is DJ Calf requesting Ichok for my friend Toda. Right here. Final words before we go, and we have to hear Ichok before the sports. So, what are your final words, Agnes?
I wish to encourage our listeners and those who are watching us that Down syndrome may come with all the conditions that have been mentioned early on, but early interventions are very important. If you take your child, if you accept the condition, firstly you have to accept the condition. It is when you accept it that you look for all the early interventional therapies that will be helpful for the child to develop normally. It doesn't mean that early interventions are going to make the magic, but it speeds the milestones
All right.
in the child.
Okay. Thank you so much. She's heard a song. She wants to dance. Prof. Professor Nana Chan Yao. She's a pediatric cardiologist at the National Cardiothoracic Center, board chair for Down syndrome Ghana. Agnes Teiko Nyamite is the mother of Toda, who wants to come and dance. She's the executive director of Down syndrome Ghana. And Toda, of course, is going to dance to this song right now with me. You're going to teach me how to dance. Okay. So, hey, let's go. Let's go. I'm learning. Hey. Woo. Come on. Come. Let's dance with you. Teach me. Let's go. Come. Let me stand here. I see your mismatched socks. Okay, so this is our camera. Let's go. Teach me. Come on. I like that one. Wow. Charlie, my teacher is too good, man. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Well done. Wow.